Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is The Raptor, and welcome back to another one of my Death Battle reaction videos. Today we're going to be watching the new episode that just came out, Blade from Marvel versus Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And I, for one, am incredibly excited to see what we have today. Blade versus Buffy was legitimately one of my most wanted death battles since like a couple years ago, maybe even more than that. So I'm super excited that we're actually getting this episode, and not even just in general, but like in live action. I had no idea this was going to be the next Halloween episode that we got, but I'm not complaining whatsoever. I think both Blade and Buffy are really cool characters. I really like the comparison, especially when you look at everything these characters have. It really makes it a really interesting discussion, in my opinion, so I am quite excited for this. In terms of who I am rooting for, this is actually the first time I can think of in like a really long time where I think I'm actively and definitively rooting against the Marvel or DC character. Don't get me wrong, Blade is awesome. But everyone knows that Blade is awesome, right? Like, I would not say he's underrated. Like, he's cool, but there are people that straight up don't know about Buffy anymore. And frankly, I think I only really know about her because my dad got me into the show. But even still, like, there are some people that just don't know anything about Buffy, and I find her to be really underrated, both as a character and just the series as a whole. So I'm really hoping that this battle gets more people into that franchise. And it's just one of my favorite television franchises ever, you know? So I really love Buffy as a character, and I would really like to see her win, to be perfectly honest. In terms of who I think is going to win, in my prediction video that I made, I went with Blade, cautiously. But even with that, I think that the outcome is really gonna lie in the aspects of these characters that, like, no one knows about. And this especially goes for Buffy, because she has, like, what, over 100 books and a ton of comics as well. So I would not be surprised if there's something, like, really hidden in there that just kind of allows her to win. And it could be consistent for all we know, because there's just so much extra material. But even still, like, that's not really up for us to decide. And I think what's really best at this point is just see what Deathbattle thinks is the best stuff to say about these characters, like the most important stuff, and then we can go from there. So without further ado, let's get to watching. Okay, I'm so excited for this.
Versus Buffy,
the Daywalker versus the Vampire Slayer.
He's
very well said, yeah.
And it's our job to analyze their
weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win.
A death battle.
Feels so cool that we're getting an answer from them on this matchup.
They are known by many names: Revenant, Vortala, Nosferatu.
Vampires.
I saw Nosferatu for the first time a couple years ago. I'm glad I watched it.
Are out for blood.
Fitting then that the greatest foe of those who stalk the night is the one who can walk the day. Blade.
Not really his costume.
Hang on.
I mean, many characters have had their costume changed over time.
Blade is one of the coolest superheroes ever, and basically kickstarted the comic book movie craze.
And yet,
yeah,
he is also
I mean,
seemingly
many did in a
only
way,
one
but yeah,
who
Blade was a
knows or
big one.
cares that in the world of Marvel, vampires exist. Seriously, nobody talks about this.
Blade doesn't need anyone's help.
Sometimes other heroes fight
by himself.
supernatural
Blade's
beings.
birth was hardcore.
And they kind of have
Plus,
other
as
stuff
the
to deal
young
with too. Like, it's not like they're the
Aristocrat's mother was
craziest
labor,
things
her
ever.
attending doctor turned
In the
out
grand
to
scheme
be
of
the
things.
vampire Deacon Frost.
And he
Make that
drank
new
her blood
movie
right
Marvel.
before she gave birth.
This infused
Yeah, the
Eric
origin
with
for
Frost's
Blade is
vampiric blood,
crazy.
turning him half human, half vampire. A Dampier.
Giving him a ton of vampy powers, but none of their weaknesses like garlic, holy water, or sunlight.
Eric would hone these abilities under the tutelage.
I mean, granted, Buffy
of
won't
vampire
really have
hunter
those
Jamal
specific
Mafari,
weaknesses either, but
sharpening
it's
him
important to
into
note
a
for Blade, yeah.
that would rape the vampire plague for good.
Blade is strong and fast enough to toss around 1,000-pound demons and cut bullets out of the air. He can keep up with Wolverine, who can deflect Cyclops' light-speed optic blasts.
Right, yeah, it is
Kevlar
light
DuPont
speed, but
armor
it's
helped
not a
him take
laser,
the
it's an
Toho
optic
Count
blast.
Von castle exploding.
He can heal small wounds immediately and sniff out the supernatural with his hypersenses. Also, his fangs can drain his victims of magical energies.
After studying
Okay,
the ways
and I read
of
the top
Hong Kong
there,
kung
like,
fu movies,
powering through
Blade became a
impalement.
master
That is
martial
impressive.
artist. Ah, yes, the Rufus from Street Fighter School of Kung Fu.
While the only martial art he's
I
been
mean, he
stated
does
to
know
is
legit
Krav
martial
Maga,
arts.
We know he's mastered more. So
Yeah.
for the full scope of his
And he's
martial arts
fought, like,
ability,
really,
we'll examine the
really
Blade
skilled
movies as
fighters
performed by
nonetheless.
Wesley Snipes.
By looking at Snipes' training and choreography, we know Blade uses Kung Fu, Capoeira, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Eskrima, Kickboxing, Shotokan Karate, and Hapkido. Add on Blade's knack for stealthy takedowns, and I guess you could call him Marvel's Batman.
Another one of
Training
Marvel's
progressed smoothly
Batman,
Until Afari was attacked and had his blood drained by Dracula. Seriously,
Whoa.
Avengers, Dracula is real. Why aren't you doing anything about this?
They
right
fought
there.
Dracula before.
Forced to work his surrogate dad, Blade would
Okay,
have
whatever.
to wage his war alone.
Nursing a wound within him that would never heal. A hole that
Aw.
could never be filled.
Not with that attitude. Blade took
Yeah,
a
look at that
wrench out of
arsenal.
The boomstick and tried filling that hole with every kind of weapon
And are they
imaginable.
including Boy
He's
Thing?
got so
Okay.
many, there
I was
is a
expecting the
perfect
breathing
decoration.
gun.
Handguns, assault
Boy Thing is
rifles,
a
and
little
explosives
surprising to
make
me.
up the brunt of his firepower. And he enjoys getting up close and personal with his dual acid-etched titanium katanas.
Speaking of glorious Nippon steel, he's got a sword made out of adamantium.
Right.
Specifically, secondary adamantium. A variant of the
Yeah,
metal that
there
is
are many
mass-produced.
different
May
types.
not
Too
be
many, if you
quite
ask
as
me.
strong as Cap's shield, but it can cut
Well, that's
right
the strongest
through heavy hitters
adamantium.
like Ultron and the Hulk.
Naturally, Blade has even more swords. His Atlantean ones can slice through magical enchantments. The Word Sword can
Okay.
harm intangible demons, and the Justiciar can slay fallen angels.
Yeah, he's got some weird stuff he can pull out of his ass, like a Hellfire shotgun that burns your soul, or hypodermic needles filled with vampire blood. Seems kinda dumb to turn people into vampires,
Well-
but it does make them more vulnerable to Blade's arsenal.
All that
Yeah,
pales
that's
in
fair.
comparison to the arch weapon of hell in Blade's possession. The breathing gun.
Uh-huh, here we go.
It is a living firearm that hisses in the presence of demonic forces.
Mm-hmm.
Its sentient bullets chase its victims down. The wounds they cause cannot be healed. And if
Right.
they get lodged in your body, they'll slowly devour you from the inside out. They can even hurt
How slowly,
Hellbournes
though?
and even greater threats like the Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Blade took everything he had and fought his one-man war for almost 100 years.
He's battled hordes of vampires while skydiving, infiltrated the Pentagon, and even took on
Damn,
Spider-Man like Miles
hardcore.
Morales, who could absorb the energy of a bomb that could destroy Harlem. Blade's even bested
Right,
the
we just talked about that.
Zarathos.
A few episodes
While
ago.
he occasionally allied with teams like the Avengers, he prefers to work alone.
I probably would too if they only cared about me when I was helping them and not
Hmm.
ridding the world of, vampires.
Yeah.
And Blade is
I mean,
scared
that's
of what he
kind
might
of
do
fair,
if he
yeah.
loses control, because he does have one classic vampire weakness: a thirst for blood.
Yeah, that's the one he has.
Even more so after he had a daughter, Brielle, whom he avoided for fear of endangering her. If his bloodlust does overwhelm him, he will enter a berserker rage,
Yep.
skyrocketing his strength at the cost of his sanity.
Though it does make him even better at killing vamps. He's made a cottage industry out of whooping.
It's not like all the
Dracula's
vampires are the
Dracula
smartest
is
tools in the shed
unsurprisingly
anyway.
powerful, capable of summoning a thunderstorm that covered all of Boston with a wave of his hand.
Drac apparently didn't hold a grudge though, since he eventually made Blade the sheriff of vampires, a vampire nation in the ruins of Chernobyl.
Amazingly, Dracula has even given Blade some of his own blood,
Yep.
which allows him to shapeshift into multiple forms, like
Yes,
a wolf,
I was
a
waiting for them to get
bats,
to
or
this.
a cloud of mist.
So he can force his way inside your body and blow you up from the inside
Yeah.
out, Ant-Man style.
What is with you with the Ant-Man? Blade's hatred of vampires is only matched by his
I mean,
hatred
people are
of
still on
himself.
that.
However, when Brielle showed signs of vampiric powers, Blade finally found a reason to reconnect with his daughter.
Oh, that's
training
good.
her the same way Afari trained him a century prior.
Even after Blade was possessed by the first vampire ever and tried to take over the planet, Brielle put her dad's teachings to the test.
Very
saving both
good.
him and the world.
And proving that Blade's lonely
That's great,
lord
actually.
need not be so lonely anymore. With his daughter at his side, and also this plant creature pet called Boy Thing, let
Yeah.
Marvel's vampires
So they didn't really
beware.
talk about
For
Boy
should
Thing
they
much, but
indulge their unnatural
I guess it's
urges,
there.
They'll be sure to meet their end at the tip of his blade.
Very cool. Okay. And now Buffy's
In every
turn.
generation,
I'm so
there is a
excited for
chosen
this.
one. She alone will stand against the vampires,
Like, playing the
demons,
intro
and the forces of darkness.
as they're going through this, that's
She
awesome.
is the Slayer.
For thousands of years, a new Slayer would be granted incredible powers and was destined to die young in battle against evil.
Uh-huh, yeah,
passing
many
their
of them
powers on
do.
to the next Slayer, and the next, and so on. That is,
There's been
until the
so
newest
many
Slayer
of them.
would change everything. Buffy and Summers.
Mm-hmm.
Not exactly the first girl you'd think is the savior of humanity.
Yeah, she's died at
Buffy's
least 2
only
times,
goals in
that's
life
right.
Were, in her own words, graduate from high school, go to Europe, marry Christian Slater, and die.
But that would all
Now, this is
change
all
when
from-
Watcher Merrick appeared and
Yeah, this is
revealed
all from
her
the
destiny.
original movie.
Like total
What they're
power.
talking about right
Merrick
now.
trained Buffy in the arts of vampire slang, and she became so efficient that she burned down her school. Whoops.
Right, that's
Forcing her
efficiency,
and her mom
yeah.
to move to Sunnydale, California.
And
to
this is the
start a new
TV
life,
show, yeah,
far
Sarah
away
Michelle
from any
Gellar,
more
new
bloodsuckers
actress.
and bad makeup.
Unfortunately,
You know, what everyone
small
knows
problem,
of when they think of
Sunnydale
Buffy.
just so happened to be right on top of a hellmouth.
Uh-huh.
Where the boundary between Earth and
That's
hell
why they
is
keep
permeable.
showing
Yeah,
up.
that sounds like the Valley, all right. Along with new watcher Giles.
Giles, there he
Willow,
is.
part-time
Willow.
bad boy, part-time sad boy, Angel, magical
Yeah, Angel's
retcon
whatever.
sister Dawn, and
Dawn.
Xander.
Yeah.
Buffy and her Scooby.
Xander's not always the best.
Series of monsters.
And we mean truly never-ending.
And Dawn
Sure,
didn't show
there's
up
the
until
TV
later,
show,
but, like,
Buffy's also
retroactively.
been slaying vampires across video games, comics, and 128 novels.
Yeah, there we go.
Thousands of pages of Buffy.
That's a
lore you've
lot of
never
stuff.
But we're just crazy enough to speed read them all.
heard. Buffy carries
Good,
a
yeah,
variety
leave
of
no page
anti-venom
unturned.
weapons. There's wooden stakes, of course, sometimes dipped in Gorgon venom.
That-
can
that's
turn
a
into
hefty
stone.
arsenal,
Though
too.
She's also experienced with axes, swords, quarterstaffs, holy water,
Mm-hmm.
just about anything.
You said it! When she fought an ancient demon unable to be killed by any weapon forged in his time, Buffy introduced his stupid ass to the 20th century.
I love it when
Also
she has a
master of
rocket
Aikido,
launcher. It's just
Judo,
so
Jiu-Jitsu,
funny.
Boxing, kickboxing, wrestling, karate, kung fu, wushu, tai chi, kendo.
Okay, that's
capoeira, and
a
taekwondo.
good amount of
Buffy
formal
apparently thinks Hong
styles.
Kong's kung fu movie masters could learn a thing or two.
No kidding.
Hmm.
Thanks to her Slayer senses, her reflexes are fine-tuned enough to dodge
Hi, Adam.
close-range Gatling gun fire, lightning bolts from the sky, and even beams of light. She's kept up
Just
with
so
another
cool
Slayer,
seeing all these
Faith,
things I
who
know.
can dodge laser beams from point-blank range.
Buffy's strong enough
Okay,
to bend
that's
rebar,
really good.
punch this 4.5-ton bat monster into the air, and smash hard enough to tear
And despite her black
Multiple
armor,
sex
she can
feats,
survive
yep.
massive explosions, like the one that destroyed Cephalian's lair that's bigger on the inside.
She can even fight blindfolded.
Okay.
But if she is injured, she heals fast enough to be totally fine by the next episode.
One
lot
time,
of
Angel sucked out
resistances.
almost all of the blood from her body, and she survived. Doubly impressive since Angel's blood draining also drains magical energy.
She has the
Yeah,
Slayer
Buffy's
mode,
own
that's
magic
right.
makes
Okay,
her
magical
weirdly
energy,
resilient
similar to
esoteric
Blade.
Attacks, like when she expelled this misty shadow demon trying to possess her body, or when she resisted her
Okay.
soul being ripped apart and scattered across time.
Or that time
Shit.
she jumped into a vat of boiling liquid.
Yeah, we're gonna
so
get into some
hot it could
crazy
reduce
stuff.
people to skeletons, and she was just fine.
She might not show physical scars, but she sure has emotional ones.
Oh my
Being a
God,
Slayer
yeah,
put a
tons
huge
of
burden
trauma.
on Buffy's life.
Unable to live normally, she felt isolated, forced to internalize the trauma she faced on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, she had friends, but they couldn't understand her unique struggle.
Like when Angel
Not all the
turned
way,
evil
no.
after he took her virginity and tried to destroy the world. That must be one of those metaphors.
Sometimes
Yeah,
the
maybe.
worst enemies are the ones
Maybe
who
it
can't
means
fight
something.
and who don't fight back.
Made
Oh,
even
Buffy's
worse by
mom,
her
that
having
bad
all the
episode was
memories of
rough.
the other Slayers bouncing around in her head, dating back to the Stone Age.
Buffy has dreamt of every battle a Slayer has ever fought, and can call upon those skills in a fight, even
Mm-hmm.
subconsciously.
But this includes the memories of their deaths. Countless women violently dying young. A reminder
Spike.
of her inevitable fate.
A fate that came to pass when she fought the Hell God Glory.
Yeah.
After
Well,
leaping
first it was
into
the Master,
Glory's
and then it was Glory.
reality-ending interdimensional hole.
A glory hole, if you will.
Buffy sacrificed herself to save the universe, dying a hero's death.
Yeah, but there were still 2 more seasons and tons of other material.
Poorly timed.
Finally freed of her unfair earthly responsibilities, Buffy's soul ascended to heaven in perfect bliss.
No.
Until her friends brought her back to life in the agony of existence!
Yay!
Absolutely crushed Buffy. And
Yes.
ironically,
I was gonna say, like, season
annihilated
6
her will
onwards
to
is
live.
like
Oh, that's
raw
rough, Buffy.
depression.
But with the show renewed for more seasons, she had to nut up and continue her.
Yeah, because I don't think they
crusade
knew they were gonna
against
do more
all things
seasons
Spirit
after
Halloween.
5,
Buffy's
so...
battled for 40
you know.
hours straight, defeated vampires immune to traditional vampiric weaknesses, and destroyed the Sword of Sano, which caused the Great Hanshin earthquake.
And of course, both Buffy and
Okay.
her friends have defeated countless immensely powerful demons.
Like the Queller
She
demon,
survived
which
Willow's
arrived as a meteor and
unrestrained
caused the
magic
Tunguska
power? What does that
explosion,
mean?
Which destroyed over 2,000 square kilometers of forest. Or or the Sorrow Demon, which caused a storm that blanketed Los Angeles.
She's also
Yeah,
a match
more
for Angel,
storms.
who survived a blast that could rupture a continental shelf, and took hits from Whistler, whose magic contained a bomb that could vaporize London.
She even faced off against the
Damn.
first evil, literally the embodiment of all evil that predates reality itself.
Right.
Forced into battles against stronger and stronger baddies, Buffy clearly needed something to even the odds. The Slayer Scythe.
It's actually a Bardiche.
Yeah, whatever. I'm
Sure,
just gonna
yeah.
say it. This thing is bullshit.
I call it just a
Containing the
scythe.
essence of Buffy's Slayer powers and created to defeat ancient demons. The
Scythe
can
conceived a
deflect
child with
magical
Willow in the
projectiles
novels.
and
That's
slice through just about
amazing.
anything. Ghosts, magic, even space itself, destabilizing reality in the process.
Even Silas.
So similar
with
to
the
some of
power
Blade's
worlds.
weapons.
Kinda like Galactus, but instead of chomping on planets, he eats the multiverse. And there goes his head.
The scythe is easily the most powerful tool in her arsenal.
Yeah.
In effect, attaining it completed Buffy, as though it were a piece of her she never knew was missing. With the scythe,
I mean, you have a
Buffy
ton
was
of
finally
Slayers
whole.
experience at your
Being
beck
the
and
Slayer
call.
was
How much
no
more do you
longer a
need?
burden, but a purpose.
And by sharing her Slayer powers with thousands of girls around the world, they all teamed up and kicked the first evil's ass.
Suddenly,
Hell
the
yeah.
always isolated Buffy had thousands of shoulders to lean on, a sisterhood of Slayers.
Interesting direction for the
Thousands
show.
more reasons for any wannabe demon conqueror to stay away from Earth, because unless you want to get your blood all over her stylish yet affordable boots, you'll steer clear of Buffy, the Vampire Slayer.
You must, absolutely.
All right, the combatants are
Okay, so
set.
now we gotta talk
Run
about
the data
this.
Through all possibilities.
It's time for a live-action death battle!
Yep, live action death battle. Pause it. Okay, so I have to admit, I'm not sure if I got all the context that I was looking for. I definitely feel like this is the kind of episode where they're gonna be saving a lot of like the numbers or, you know, anything like really overt about their capabilities for like the ending after the battle is done. And maybe that's for a good reason, right? You know, maybe it'd be too obvious otherwise. But as far as the obvious things that I can pick apart from this, Buffy definitely has some very good resistances. Like, you know, Blade shape-shifting and entering her body and like exploding her, it does not look like that's gonna work. She also has soul resistances, so anything soul related, that wouldn't really work either. I do think that Blade's healing factor is better. Not just because I think it's actually like faster paced, but he also has stuff like the breathing gun, which, you know, like just slows your healing or stops it or whatnot. Like, I feel like the sooner he uses that, assuming it doesn't just like completely destroy Buffy, the sooner he uses that, like, the harder it's going to be for, you know, for Buffy to heal or just, you know, keep up the fight with her stamina, you know. So, it, you know, that's tough to say. As far as their powers and like actual like AP, like physical power, a lot of it seemed to match up. There was one thing where they talked about like Angel surviving a blast of like, what was it, like a continental shelf. I don't know how big that is compared to a continent. If it's anywhere close to a continent though, then that seemed to be the biggest thing on either side. But a lot of the other stuff for both Blade and Buffy really seemed to look at more like, you know, city level stuff. Like there was storms on both sides. There was the feat like with, you know, part of London or whatever it was on Buffy's side. So it seems to match up pretty decently, at least for the most part, but I wouldn't be surprised if Buffy has something that's technically stronger. And the Scythe, you know, obviously the Scythe is able to kill like things that are way out of Blade's league. Like both of these characters definitely have the capacity to kill each other, right? As far as speed, maybe Buffy's a bit faster. They didn't talk much about like, you know, they said that Buffy could compare to Faith, who could dodge a point blank laser. Whereas, you know, well, yeah, Buffy could do that, whereas Blade could keep up with Wolverine, you know, who could deflect the light speed optic blast. Based on just those two feats alone, it looks like Buffy's is more impressive, but I could see that going either way too. Again, just based on what they bring up later. There weren't a lot of numbers involved. You kind of just have to like think of the feats themselves, you know? So it is tough. Blade still has more specific powers, but again, Buffy does have some good resistances. And they both have a lot of, you know, a lot of weapons. But again, you know, I think back to like his secondary adamantium sword can like cut through the Hulk and Ultron or whatever. But again, I don't think the issue is whether or not Blade could kill Buffy or Buffy could kill Blade. It seems like they could each do that. It's just a matter of like who could wear the other one down first. And I think as far as stamina goes, again, just based on the healing, it seems that Blade has that advantage. And he also has body armor, even though Buffy can just survive crazy things anyway. So, and she also, I don't know if they brought this up very much, but like, she's also been shown to have like immunity to like regular piercing weapons, like swords and bullets. So Blade's, assuming that, you know, that still holds true, then Blade is going to have to rely on his bigger stuff, like the adamantium sword or the breathing gun or whatever the Hellboy thing is going to do. So yeah, I don't really think that's going to be included in the live action fight. They didn't talk about it at all, really. So that is difficult. Although also Buffy's experience that she can draw upon, that is overall more experience than what Blade has. So this is honestly difficult. If Buffy did not have the resistances that she has, then I think I might be more comfortable siding with Blade. But honestly, it looks like both of them have like just a really easy way of killing the other. I guess you could say that, you know, Blade's method is like, he has like the breathing gun, which is like a ranged weapon, whereas Buffy really needs to get in close. But Blade likes to get in close. Like he's not going to keep his range the entire time. Again, I'd like to see Buffy win. I really would. I'm going to stick with Blade for the win, but honestly, like, I could see this tipping either way so easily. Again, I think a lot of it is going to have to come from, like, giving context to the stuff they've already talked about, or just bringing up new stuff, right? Because I think based on what they said already, it's difficult for me to come to a really solid conclusion. But I'm going to stick with Blade, but let's just see what happens. And of course, no matter what happens, as long as they can justify it, you know, I'll be fine. Those look good. So starting at a party, that's actually pretty fitting. And I think I'm seeing some death battle people. Maybe, unless I'm just making it up in my head. Hey, Buffy. I'm excited to see what the actors can do. We got a lot of vampires having fun. They're taking notice of her. Pretty standard fare. I assume that's Blade?
We were kings.
Yep, well that's the breathing gun, so that's gotta be Blade.
Kings.
Unless someone's been rummaging through his stuff.
Starved. Hunted. Forgotten. You have waited long enough. Tonight, we remember.
They had to get a lot of actors for this.
Tonight, we take back what was always ours.
No, they're not gonna let Blade in.
We feast.
I mean, I'm enjoying this presentation.
And she.
The music is ramping up, so...
That's just the start.
Okay, here we go. Okay, very cool shot. So I guess they're gonna start by fighting the vampires. Which Death Battle doesn't do that often, like... Sometimes they have it so, like, the characters are, like, working together or fighting something else. Very cool effects. Actually, very cool effects for this. I think it looks good. Ooh. Yeah, let's show what Buffy's got. Oh, okay. Very cool. Yep, both of them at once. And both of these characters are just the most badass you can ask for in this realm. But then Blade is okay. Oh, he uses it to kill more? That's great. I thought we were getting to the end and they're gonna start fighting each other. My god. The actor, they haven't said much, but like, physically speaking, I think they're doing really well. Yeah, and of course it kills all the vampires except Blade. Yeah, get out of here. But then, of course, Buffy wants to kill him too. Oh. Ah, damn. that sucks, man.
Wait!
Oh, man. Well, I mean, to him, that's what he has to do. I find it interesting. I thought she was just gonna... Oh, nice shots. I thought she was just gonna fight him right away. But
Just a kid!
Not anymore.
that is such a good conflict for them to have. This is totally the sides they would each be on. I mean, yeah, easy parry. Well, what are you gonna do about that, Blade? I assume he's just using a normal sword right now. Nice choreography. And they both just start stripping. Set looks nice. They filmed this in Alaska, right? Or am I getting that completely wrong? It doesn't really matter. And yeah, Buffy might survive blood draining, so like I think it's still gonna weaken her and strengthen him if it happens, right? And it might just come down to stamina. Oh, damn. Okay, well you're getting really cornered now. What the shit? You guys okay? Yeah, he's really putting the pressure on her. Buffy! Come on, Buffy! No, Buffy! Ow, 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 ow! Jeez. Okay. Call on that experience and strength. Okay, normal hand to hand.
Some motherfucker trying to ice skate uphill.
There's only ever gonna be one Blade, right? Ouch! I feel like that'd be annoying to anyone, even if you were a Dampier. Okay, we got the big guns. Oh! Oh, but it heals, right? Oh. Ouch! Does that count as being shot by it? Because if so, her healing is screwed. If I'm understanding correctly. I mean, she does not look in a good condition right now.
Another sword.
I see you cut through adamantium.
Bring it on.
I mean, again, it's not the strongest adamantium out there, so... And again, that scythe is ridiculous. Yeah, Blade, I would not get hit by that scythe if I were you. That would be really bad. But I know one of them's gonna die. Ouch. I mean, overall, Blade has been winning for a lot of this. I don't think this is going to be the final shot, the final hit. Okay. Now Blade's not in a good position because he's not going to move out of the way. Oh, crap. There's to the other side. I think he's... Nope. I think he's toast. The way that shot looked. Yeah. Oh my god. Holy crap. Good job, Buffy. Very good job, Buffy. You gonna take his sunglasses?
Ahead of yourself.
Come on now. Okay, Buffy won.
Blade tenued no longer.
To be Blade
I'm
tenued.
surprised. I figured with Blade's many years of comic book history, he'd have the edge.
Believe it or not,
That's like one per
Buffy
year.
is actually in more comics than Blade.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, Blade can't catch a break.
Let's break this down into 4 categories. First up, stats.
Yes.
Buffy's lifted much heavier things and survived more significant explosions.
Like,
Okay.
sure, Blade's strong and all, but he isn't literally fucking buildings apart like Buffy.
Scaling to the monsters
Well,
they fought.
no, I guess
compare
not.
Dracula creating a storm that covered Boston.
Yeah,
to
this
the
is what I was
Sunnydale
waiting
creating a
for,
storm
like
that
this
covered
storm
Los Angeles.
comparison.
A city over 5 times larger. You might be able
Okay,
to
I
compare
guess
Blade
I
to
could have
Spider-Man
considered
like
the
Miles,
size of the
who absorbed
cities.
a bomb that could blow up Harlem, but that's significantly weaker than Whistler containing a blast that could wipe out London. They could both
I
dodge
see.
light beams, but that doesn't keep Buffy from taking the overall edge in stats.
Blade's used
That's
to being
fair.
the odd man out, though.
I knew
so
it was
his
very possible she
versatility
could
is
have
just as
the
important.
strength.
With Blade's numerous powers and massive arsenal, he certainly could have overwhelmed the more straightforward Buffy.
Machine guns and magic swords are generally gonna beat out crossbows and morning stars.
But that's not all she
He
has.
actually wears armor.
Also,
Yeah.
Blade's faster healing factor and immunity to traditional.
There is something
vampire
about Boy
weaknesses
thing
kept
up there,
Buffy on the
interesting.
back foot for a time. Blade wins versatility.
But when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to skill, Buffy's got plenty of experience fighting armed opponents barehanded.
Both of them were masters of a similar number of martial arts.
And Blade has
Yeah.
been kicking vampire ass for a century, way longer than Buffy's even been alive.
While Blade may have more personal experience, Buffy's ability to draw on Slayer battles dating back to the Stone Age,
Yeah.
at least 40 times older than Blade, gives her the superior skill. Even then,
Even though I'd
they
still say
both had
he's
weapons
fought
and abilities
better
so powerful
things,
they could end the fight instantly,
but like fought
regardless
like
of all else.
more
They're
skilled
trump
opponents. But
cards.
that's fair.
Fortunately for Buffy, she actually countered almost all of what Blade could throw at her.
Withstanding Blade draining her energy with his bite? Check.
Resisting the Hellfire
For a
shotgun,
time, yeah.
destroying her soul. Check.
Preventing
Yeah.
Blade turning to mist and exploding
Yeah,
her from
again, the
inside
resistances-
out? Check.
Meanwhile, Blade had no way to survive, say, Buffy's Gorgon venom turning him to stone.
And even with the
Oh,
deadly,
yeah.
just plain gross breathing gun, Blade did not have anything as potent as the Slayer sight. It could easily deflect the breathing gun's bullets back at him, or use its space-cutting ability to slice through his unbreakable adamantium sword.
Don't believe us?
That
Even
makes sense.
Wolverine's adamantium skeleton was cut in half when a portal closed on top of him. That's the same kind of thing.
And Wolverine's beta
Yeah.
adamantium skeleton is a much tougher version of
That's the
same
true
weapon.
adamantium,
since
or
the
primary
Silent Kill
adamantium,
Silas,
yeah.
A multiverse devouring god. I think you could take down Blade with a big enough swing.
Giving Buffy
Oh, yeah, there was
the
no
final
doubt about that.
advantage over the Daywalker.
Really thought
But
Blade
holy
had a chance,
crap,
but Buffy
Buffy
sure put a
actually
damn
won.
beer on things.
The winner is Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Okay, amazing
Next
job,
time
Buffy. And
on
next time, do we
Deathbattle.
have Ash versus Yugi, perhaps? No. Is that Dante? So it's Dante versus
Subscribe and join us,
Clive.
remember, to see more Death.
Dante versus Clive from Final Fantasy. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. If anything, I was expecting Ash versus Yugi, actually. Don't get me wrong, that's so cool that Dante is actually coming back. I've been waiting for that for a while. I don't know if I could say I would have been expecting Clive, though, from Final Fantasy. But so it's another Devil May Cry versus Final Fantasy, actually. We've seen that before. Granted, it was Final Fantasy VII, Sephiroth versus Virgil, but okay, interesting. I thought it was going to be Ash versus Yugi, actually, because I cannot anticipate them pushing Ash versus Yugi back into 2026, especially with them confirming that they're going to be taking, like, a bit of a break in between the, a bit of a break between the end of the 2025 era and the 2026 season, so to speak, right? So I kind of thought that they would just have Ash versus Yugi be the one in November, because they don't usually like to save surprises for like the end of the year. They usually like to save surprises for the end of the year. They like to have something be unexpected. They don't like to save stuff that we already know about. But then this either means that we're getting Ash versus Yugi like you know, next for the December episode, or it's being pushed back to like February. And that seems very weird to me. Like, I don't really think they would want to push it too far away from episode 200 if they didn't have to, right? So now I'm thinking maybe Ash versus Yugi will just be the next one. But of course, you know, we don't necessarily have a good idea of that. But Dante versus Clive, that's going to be interesting. Dante is another one of those characters where it's like, if you look at the lore, like if you look, like it's kind of like Kratos, where it's like, if you look at everything that like he's confirmed to be able to do, you get some really powerful stuff. So, you know, I'm really excited to see what they pull out with this one. I don't have much more to say on that. Obviously, I'll have a prediction out for this one, but yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for the next one. Not what I was expecting, but that's not a bad thing. I'm still excited for it. As for this episode, first off, good job, Buffy. You won. Honestly, like, I knew after the analyses, I knew it could go either way. I do think that Blade's healing was still overall superior, especially with, you know, ways to slow down the healing. But to be fair, like, in just like a regular combat scenario, yes, it does make sense that Buffy has just a lot of stuff that can counter even the crazier things that Blade has that Buffy doesn't really possess with her own powers, which kind of negates part of the versatility advantage if like not a lot of it is able to work. I knew that, you know, there was, I still think both of them could have very easily killed the other. Like, I think it was possible for, you know, Blade to have killed Buffy, but if you're trying to say that like Buffy had a surefire way to do it in one shot, whereas like there's some shakier things for Blade, then I totally buy into that. And, you know, thinking about the size of the cities and, you know, with the storms and all the actual feat comparisons, I knew they were going to talk more specifically about that afterwards. But now that they have done it, like, yeah, it does make sense. You might be able to scale Blade a little higher, but like they said, like, Buffy actually has more comics. Like, if you think there's like, what, 128 novels, what was it? Like, Buffy has a ton of comics out there as well. So, you know, I have no issue with the outcome. There's nothing I'm thinking where it's like, well, why didn't they bring that up? There was that one thing about Boy thing that I will have to take a look at later. I wanted to pay more close attention to what they were saying for the conclusion, but I'll look at that as well. Because Boy thing, I was not expecting them to even like talk about at all. But okay, fair enough. Yeah, and the choreography was good too. There might have been some points during the, you know, because obviously they were prioritizing presentation with the battle, especially at like the beginning. There might have been some parts where it felt like it dragged on a little bit, but like overall, I still really appreciated like what they were going for. Like the overall ambience of everything was really fitting for Blade and Buffy. I really liked the inciting incident that got them to fight each other. I thought that was really, really cool. And yeah, overall, just really good choreography. I think a decent use of the weaponry. So I was really happy to, and I thought it was a little obvious that Buffy was going to win just like from like a few shots ago, just based on that. But I don't know. I don't really consider that a negative because it was still a really awesome moment and all that. And Blade did seem to have the upper hand during most of the battle. So as it was going on, I'm thinking like, okay, yeah, Buffy might pull this one out. And again, I'm really happy about that. I wouldn't be happy about that if the conclusion made no sense to me, but at least as far as I can tell from here, it does make a decent amount of sense. So perfectly fine with that. The analyses were good. I think they did go over a lot of good stuff for the characters. There was a point in Blade where I was like, are they going to get to the shape-shifting? But then they did, so I was happy about that. The Avengers have fought supernatural beings, though. I'm sorry. Like, there are other characters in Marvel that have fought supernatural beings. It's not just Blade, but I get what they're saying. And the Buffy stuff, yeah, like they went over a lot of good parts of the TV show that I'm really happy about, like just like showing Buffy's mom. That episode I think is really, really good. A lot of specific episodes that they went over that I thought was really good. So yeah, it's just so cool to see a character that you have this much like of an attachment to and, you know, have seen so much of, like, just being talked about on this show. Like it's so cool for that. And of course, like I could say that for like a lot of Marvel and DC characters, but like this is the first time I can say that about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So, you know, I'm really happy that we got this episode, you know, in any form. But the fact that it was live action and it was the Halloween episode and it turned out like this, yeah, I'm really happy about it. But I want to hear what you guys have to say. Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Who do you think should have won? Let me know down in the comments below. Love to hear what you guys have to say. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. But either way, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, that's it for me. I will see all of you guys in the next video. Peace out.